and another thing is, so remember that, wait.
If it's a mistake, then we shouldn't do it, but that's fine.
I don't think it's like a mistake completely. We won't know until tomorrow.
Eric won't know until tomorrow. It is what it is.
I'll find out very shortly when this episode's over, and I'll listen back, and I'm like, oh, that was a bad idea.
I'm trying to find an appropriate comment for this.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, inappropriate.
Inappropriate. So what were you guys talking about before?
Dab or be dabbed. What were we? Oh, Amazon Basics is better than I thought it was. Like, it's all right.
Yeah, some stuff you get is actually pretty good. Like, I mean, for especially cutting the market's throat. It's not really cheap Chinese junk. It's just
it's one of those things.
Affordable Chinese junk.
Yeah, like I expect it to come in so much worse, and then it gets in, and then it's like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
like that. We bought a tripod from Amazon. Was it a tripod?
The mic boom.
Oh yeah, it was the mic boom, and
pretty good.
And I thought it was gonna be like a really dinky. Like not even like I just thought it was gonna be very flexible and just really crap. But then we opened it up and we assembled it. I was like, no, this is a legit boom. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, they sold it for like $10.
Yeah, it was like $18, which is like reasonable. It was like $30 less than the next cheapest competitor. So I mean,
yeah, and we couldn't even like and then in stores like we even said we went out looking for those Polaroids and we went to the shop and it was like, yeah, we have them, and then it was like $30, and I was like, oh wow. And then we look online, what, 15?
Well, yeah, eBay was 15.
eBay was so like Amazon was
18.99.
Oh, so well that was their
Side
markup.
note: if any of you are buying Polaroids, the $18.99 for 8 exposures for $18.99, and it's like, listen, if I didn't have like a specific use that we needed it for, then I wouldn't buy it. Like, who is buying Polaroids for themselves?
Back in my day,
yeah, they were like 30 cents each back in the day.
Yeah. 30 cents for a full pack.
Even so, I hope it was cheaper than that. Yeah, 30 cents for a full pack. Yeah, because 30 cents a piece at that time.
That's
probably,
still expensive.
That's very expensive.
That's pretty close to now.
Dead in the water, guy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No one's taking pictures of nothing. Just remember it with your mind.
It's interesting how there's this loop.
What are you doing? Click.
Click.
I'm taking pictures. Why are you blinking so much?
That's how you get admitted to a mental institution. It's interesting how there's this like curve of like value where it's all like stuff like starts out expensive because it's new, and then it hits this like this valley of like junk.
Yep.
And then it becomes super expensive again because it's fancy and it's like hipster.
Yeah, well, most things stay in the valley.
Yes.
It's the one-offs where like that product gets showcased on someone's really popular show or vlog or something, and then all of a sudden there's value to it.
Well, once it might hit that curve too, like to become like vintage.
Yeah, and then there's the vintage curve, but you have to like, that's rare. It has to be a really good product.
Well, that was like Polaroid. There you go. I mean, it's not super duper ridiculous. You can go buy the cameras for cheap.
The cameras was super cheap.
Yeah.
The film was expensive.
Well, film is in general is kind of expensive. So I mean, you can't.
I mean, yeah,
can't blame
like,
the film companies for upcharging.
No, I don't blame anybody for charging market value. I blame like the idea that this hasn't been standardized yet. Like this system must be.
Well, it's old technology.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's like, well, you like this thing. It had relevance in popular culture for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's not like relevant to like where we're going. So you want it, you're gonna pay for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because you're not you're in bulk making it, but nothing crazy high bulk on that. You know, you're just making a moderate amount, so you have to sell accordingly, and because it's old technology, it's just like. Everyone has a phone. Like it's very specialty stuff. Like what we're using it for someone to actually need a Polaroid.
But think about those companies that make like all like the factory replacement parts for like GM, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, like all the old Mopar cars, the old muscle cars from like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
it's like they upcharge to keep it relevant because they make brand new parts. But I mean, really, it's like it's old technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. That doesn't stop me from complaining about it. I guess.
I mean, it is expensive, man.
And it's like I understand the utility for it. It's just like I don't know, whatever. It's interesting because like Polaroid made Fujifilm made a new version of the Polaroid cameras, but they're more expensive than the old one.
The camera is more expensive.
Yeah,
but like the film is cheaper.
The film is cheaper.
What was it? Was it on this show we talked about the Polaroid?
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
No. Not the not the like regular Polaroid ones, but there was these little cameras when I was a kid. They came out in the 90s and they were made by Polaroid. Really trying to think of the name, but you pull it out and it was just like the little Polaroids, maybe like an inch by an inch, and you could stick them to places.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
maybe it was like a Polaroid Zoom or something.
Huh.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. Like I'd love that. Like to have mini thumbnails.
I have a few of them, but they're really stupid.
Oh yeah.
It was like me taking like a picture of like my dog with sunglasses and like my one friend at the time, like, hey.
That sounds awesome. Like I don't like why do we not have more stuff like that? I feel like this is gonna sound really dumb and hipster, but like the idea that it's like everything's digital now. Why don't we have physical pictures and physical anything anymore? Like
no, seriously, like. You'll never see like one of those vintage like photo albums anymore. Like the ones that like actual physical photo album where Vivall pulls it out and she's like, oh look at your dad and just goes through it, and you don't ever get there anymore because now it's like with art, like if we get to the point where this generation has kids and everything else and we're older, it's like let me get my phone, I'm gonna show you pictures of your dad.
Yeah. Well, fair enough, but then again, like I have in my house tons of photo albums that I never interact with. The only time that we ever look at them,
I don't ever interact with my photo album on my phone either.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I do every once in a while.
Yeah, well, probably more often than my fair enough.
But like it's like I have photo albums that I never interact. The only time that we interact with them is when we're moving them.
Yeah,
it's like okay, we move them from one place to another, and we take a look at them. Oh, it's a nice 10 minutes, and then you put them in a box and you move them somewhere else. And it's like I guess that's better than nothing.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure I could probably find it. I remember a box. It was just a box with just pictures in it. Nice. It wasn't organized, just a box of pictures, and then like it was like the intermediate box before you make it to the photo album, but it never made it to the photo album. Yeah. So, but like you make a good point. There's a lot of wasted space there, that you have to now maintain and move with you versus just having it on your phone. But I don't know. It's just like one of those things. Oh,
did you find it?
I did. I found it. So this is the Polaroid iZone.
That's actually kind of
you had this
cool
little camera. It was like probably like
it's gone now,
6 or 7 inches long, and there was this little tab on the end, and it had like the film as a square, but it had like paper. Well, it wasn't like paper; it was like shiny like foil in between.
Yeah,
like just so you could like pull it out. So you grab onto the tab, and you'd have to like pull it by the paper.
That sounds fun.
Do they still sell it?
It's probably more. That's probably $20.
I'm sure you can buy the film for it. Let me see if I can find the
film's like $80. There's 10 exposures.
Dude, they're expensive. Yeah, no, they're expensive too. I've looked it up already.
And it's like the reason why it's only $19 for 8 exposures is because there's a company who has recreated the Polaroid sizes. If they hadn't created the old stuff's expired.
Hey, the iZone film, $36 from eBay.
For how many exposures?
48.
Oh, that's not bad. That's cheaper. But they're small.
Big.
Yeah.
I mean,
but still.
But per picture, still cheaper. Yeah.
Still cheaper. We ordered. Well, I ordered some like analog exposure, just like normal color Kodak film because I wanted to do analog photography. And there was like $4 for 36, which is fair. But then the exposure, like the development rate is like $18-19 a roll. So it's like, whoa, okay. Well, I guess that's what you get for having bespoke technology. That's pretty baller. I remember those actually.
Right.
Not the camera, but I remember seeing these pictures. Yeah. The little tab foil that where you could pull it and
now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never seen those, but they look cool.
They
look cool.
I had one.
You have all the pictures of
like I said, I have one of my dog with sunglasses on. She was laying on the floor, and I like put sunglasses on her, and like one of my friends, like my only friend back in the day.
So side note, this is the Life Podcast. Almost rolled in a different show. This is the Life Podcast.
That would have been something.
Good morning, America. Are you ready?
I'm Benjamin. I'm here with Tyler
Yeah, that was me.
and Eric,
Yo.
and there you go. 3 times a week.
Just side note, I'm about to roll in the wrong show. Prepare yourselves.
No, I almost rolled in the wrong show, which is weird because we haven't done that show in a while.
Well, welcome to Family Double Dare.
All of my other side projects.
Yeah, fair. So what's today's topic? Let's roll that in.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We haven't.
We haven't.
I
Yeah,
like
it's not that we don't know it.
Tyler has just a picture of.
He's just going down memory lane.
Tyler just has like a picture of the thing instead of the show notes. So, unfulfillment is the root to many bad practices. This is great. Whatever. Okay, unfulfillment is the root to many bad practices: apathy, disinterest, self-harm, judgment, criticism, and gossip. Let's talk about unfulfillment. What is unfulfillment?
Okay. Get it. That's a good starting point.
it's the feeling of being unfulfilled or being Yes, right.
I don't want like a definition.
It's a feeling of being fulfilled.
It is a noun.
So like what are some real life examples of unfulfillment in people's lives?
I guess I can open this one up, seeing that I put this one in there. Talking about unfulfillment, you can see a lot of people, they become discontent or unfulfilled when they I don't want to sound like all like hipstery about this or whatever, but when somebody's dreams aren't accomplished, or like they're dissatisfied because they have a desire that's been put on a back burner or not being met.
Yeah.
See, everybody's needs are different. Everybody's wants are different. Everybody's level of fulfillment is different. There's some people all they want to do in their life is have a family. And like, okay, that's where they would find their fulfillment. Whereas somebody says, okay, I could have a family and I'll still completely feel unfulfilled because I had this dream of becoming a watchmaker or a clockmaker or something. It's and if I don't do that, I can have an amazing job, make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and still like I don't feel fulfilled because there's this thing in me that says, no, you must go out and make clocks.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great example. I mean, I think unfulfillment comes from not being able to follow your dreams. Like that. Well, I think that's one creation of unfulfillment, or something that you wanted to always do something. You wake up every morning, you think about it, but then you go and put on your boots and go to a 9 to 5. Like
or even so, you can be fulfilled in a 9 to 5. There's unfulfillment. It's not so cut and dry, black and white. Like, oh, I'm not fulfilled if I don't make clocks. In a job, you can be validated. You can even be coming up in the ranks. But when you become stagnant in one position and you don't get to express or utilize all of your facets or utilities, then you'll quickly feel or become unfulfilled.
Absolutely. I think even being in the wrong environments will bring you to an unfulfilled place.
Yeah.
I think just like even on your personal life, if you're in a place where you're just like negative environments 24/7, I think you'll end up coming to a place where you don't feel completely fulfilled because your body and your mind is being capped off and put in a place where it doesn't necessarily belong.
It's also important to realize that unfulfillment is not a black and white type of thing where it's like either all unfulfilled or all fulfilled.
Yeah,
you know?
and it can be a slow fade into unfulfillment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So you can have a great 9 to 5. You could be happy with your job, and you just have no hobbies, and you're just like sad all the time that you're not at work. And it's like, okay, then that's unfulfillment, or something in that same vein.
Like you could be at that job too, and you could be doing it well. You can even take it on the chin, and once you master that job, you're not challenged anymore. That can leave somebody unfulfilled.
Absolutely.
That's normal because they're like, oh, I need to have tasks in front of me that are challenging and I guess. Yeah, I mean, challenging is the right word. That's really it.
Yeah, and it's like it gives you something to do. Like it's not fun to do so. Like, what's the difference between working at a factory and doing the exact same thing every single day, and working at a factory and doing something different every day? And it's all like some people are happy with that idea of like, okay, we're gonna do this exact same thing, and my challenge is how many I can do.
Yeah.
But if you cap somebody off, it's very easy for them to fall into this rut of like, oh, I gotta go do this thing again. I gotta go do this this project again, and I'm working and I'm doing the same thing, and it feels like you're banging your head against the wall and you're not making any progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this falls down to a bunch of different types of personalities, and we can explore that another day. Just because I don't have enough research to be able to outline it efficiently on this show. But we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the different points of unfulfillment, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
we would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast. We talk about that a lot when it comes to like relationships usually, but that's like a different system where it's all like, okay, you have this person who you don't like anymore, and then everything you do becomes about that person. Even though they're not in your life anymore, they're the root cause of the places you don't go and the people you don't see and all of these things, and it's like they're the issue. And it's the same thing with the apathy part where it's like, okay, unfulfillment in one aspect of your life can bleed into other aspects of your life even if there was no connection to begin with.
I mean, we could talk about it as a relationship. This came out of a business sense, out of like a job, saying like, okay, you don't feel fulfilled in your job, and then you slowly become apathetic to the entire job, and it's just like, I don't care about any of this crap. I'll just do the bare minimum and slide through. Mm-hmm. You can talk about it in a relationship too. If you don't feel if you feel unfulfilled in a relationship, you could be with a person. You can shack up with this person. You can cuddle. You can have all the sex you want. You can try to have a normal relationship, but if you don't have that emotional need or whatever that need is, everybody's needs in a relationship are a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have that one need specifically met, you will feel unfulfilled, and then you'll become apathetic to it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, I don't care. No, I don't really want to hang out with you today. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been in those relationships where it's like you get to a point where you're just unfulfilled, and what used to be a fulfilling thing was actually just you were just blind to it for a while, but eventually it becomes like opened up. It's almost like going to a new job, and like in the first day everything's like daisies and roses, but after the first year you really get to see what people are like, and after year or two you realize the same people who weren't really like a problem, but now they have this relationship with you where it's unfulfilling. It's the same idea. Same thing in a relationship with somebody.
I think this is easy to roll in for a relationship. So we talk about being unfulfilled, and then you start to get apathetic, so meaning you don't really care. And then disinterested, which is pretty much the same thing, with a different shoe. Then it leads to self-harm, where you'll see a lot of people, they feel unfulfilled, so they become apathetic to a relationship, and then they eventually just start self-sabotaging a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, like now I'm gonna go off and go drink because I can't deal with my problems.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna start all these little fights with my significant other so that they can break up with me instead of me having to break up with them. Or trying to fight with them so that you can have a reason to break up with them.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And also the extremes. That's when you see like if you see somebody taking a lot of little extreme steps. That sounds kind of dumb the way that's phrased, but like in one aspect of the life where they wouldn't do something extreme, they go and they do something outlandishly extreme.
I'm gonna get a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just randomly.
Yeah.
Those are signs of disinterest and apathy in other aspects of the life.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't feel fulfilled and if I don't get something out of this aspect, then I'm going to go find something that makes me happy, quote unquote, in the moment.
Or at least go and try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So like that unfulfillment will stem into those bad habits or self-harm or whatever it is that goes, it tends to go extreme. It's like, oh, like I went out and now I dyed my hair, or I went out and got a tattoo, or...
And a lot of the stuff is not really, like, they're conscious decisions that you make, but all of a sudden it's just like a want and a desire inside you. Like, I want to go get a tattoo. And most people don't even understand why.
Where it comes from.
Yeah, and then just want to do it because they need something different that they think is going to fulfill
Or that
them.
midlife crisis we talk about, like, oh, I hit this place, I feel unfulfilled, so now I have to go out and buy a used Miata. Like
Like, unfulfillment is the root cause of midlife crisis. You get to a point in your life where you're like, oh, I've hit the halfway point. I only have a halfway left, and I haven't done anything I wanted to do, or I haven't hit the mark that I wanted to hit. So now what do? I do an extreme and I buy the Miata. Or hopefully a better car.
Depends where your wallet's
Yeah,
at.
it depends on how well you did on the first half. But but seriously, that's the unfulfillment is the cause of these midlife crises. And now there's even jokes of like quarter life crisis where kids are like hitting 25 and they're going out and they feel like I haven't done enough in my life yet, and they do something extreme
because it's the pressure of everything else that's going on. It's this artificial stress that we develop over time for ourselves and for other people, where it's all like, oh, okay, if I like. And that's this Instagram culture, and I bash this Instagram culture so much, but it's so true, where it's like, okay, if I see Shawn Mendes, who's like 22 or whatever he is, and he's on the beach in Malibu with all of his sports cars and everything like that, and the guy sings, and it's all
possum.
like, yeah, and his possum, absolutely. And it's all like, oh, I'm X years old, I'm 22, and I live in my mom's basement.
Yeah.
And it's all like, congratulations, you are worthless compared to Shawn Mendes. Now go get a tattoo. And it's all like...
Yeah, right.
But that's basically what it boils down to. It's like, okay, now I feel unfulfilled, and now I feel like, oh, I got my 9 to 5 and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But Shawn Mendes got this tattoo, and I can get that same tattoo, and I can be just like him in this one aspect.
And it turns out to be no regrets.
Yeah.
And you feel even worse about yourself.
It looks good in the mirror though.
Yeah.
But another thing to remember is like, especially because you bring that up, you have to understand what your level of fulfillment is, what your goals are, and what other people expect of you are, and don't get those two mixed up. Like if your parents always expected you to go to school or be a doctor, something crazy like that, but you never really wanted to be, make sure you're following your dreams and don't be unfulfilled because of somebody else's needs or someone else's expectations of you.
That's so true, because like we were saying, you could be super duper successful, but like if deep down inside all you really wanted to do was make clocks for a living, I don't know where that idea came from, but you wanted to go do just something that was obscure, and that's the only way to feel fulfilled. By all means.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not like everybody gets stuck on the dollars, and we talk about money a lot because it's the easiest way to explain things because everybody interacts with it. But it comes down to a lot of today, people are making decisions based off of how much money it makes. Like how much money how much money is my job going to make me over the span of the next 40 years? And it's like, if you're miserable for those 40 years, it doesn't matter.
And we talk about it with that. Actually, I told my parents, we were talking the other day. I told them the story of basically the fisherman. He goes down to the water. He goes catches 2 fish, goes home. And the business guy next day says, "Hey, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why you only caught 2 fish? Like, well, why are you done?
There's plenty of fish out there to catch. Let's go back."
Yeah, and he's like, "No, all I want to do is just get enough fish so that I can eat today and then go home and spend time with my family." It wasn't the fact of I'm going to the shore to fish to feel fulfilled, and that the fact of, I mean, you can feel fulfilled if you catch fish, like a little hobby. You know, you go out fishing, you catch a couple fish, you feel good because it's like, oh, I did something with my hands. But the fact of he was doing it so that he could like make the means ends meet the means.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how you say
it was a means to an end.
Means to yeah. However you say that. Thank you.
We all got it. Yeah.
It's a means to an end, and that's when you start having issues. Is where you try to achieve the end. You're not achieving the end, and you blame the means.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
It's like, okay, well, he obviously his priorities were in right order. He's like, I need just enough here so that I can go feel fulfilled by spending time with my family.
Which is so important. And that's amazing. That's a great story because that's a story of somebody who understands their priorities. You know, their priority isn't, I'm going to work my whole life so I can get as much fish as possible so I can sell it and make money so that I can go spend time with my family. He just cut the whole middle process out. He's like, I'm just going to catch enough fish to go feed my family and spend time with them, instead of doing all the extra stuff. And that's a priority thing, and that's I think that's very important when it comes to understanding your fulfillment and where you're at. Where are your priorities?
And that's fine as long as that's what you want. Like the businessman in that story, the purpose of that businessman story is the idea that it's like it's only worth it if it's worth it.
Yeah.
And it's like if you're a businessman, if you want to start businesses, that's what you like to do, then that's the hustle, that's your fulfillment. It's not the other way around. It's like you don't chase the things that you don't chase the roundabout ways to get fulfillment. You try to find the closest path to it. And it's like if spending time with your family leaves you fulfilled, then get the straightest path to spending time with your family. Don't work 30 years to create an environment in which you can retire and then spend time with your family. Like that's a very long process to achieve a goal that could have been achieved in the moment.
Right, and you never know. You could cook it the next day, work 30 years, build this thing, retire, and then the next day, like now I can spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Dead.
There are people that I know that live in the nearby big city Boston, right? And they live in Boston and they love the city and they want to live there, but because they live there, their rent is super expensive. So they have to work jobs that they don't necessarily like, that pay enough to maintain this. So they sacrifice a lot of fulfillment in their life in order to maintain something that they want, which is to be living in the big city. And that's always been an interesting thought to me, because I always like, my advice to them is like, why don't you just move? You know, you can get a job that you actually like, probably doesn't pay as much, but you don't need as much pay to maintain your life. But like, it's a lot of people make interesting decisions where they don't understand. I'm not saying that they're unfulfilled or not. I don't know if they are or not, but I'm saying there are people who are unfulfilled and don't understand the root cause. And it could be something that it's outside of that. It's like your living situation of like you having to afford this place to live is forcing you to work a job that you don't like, which is giving you unfulfilled needs, and you don't know how to get out of it.
Well, and there's a fine line there. I was listening to Gary Vee the other day, and he was like, "Well, what's stopping you from He was talking to this girl, like, well, what's stopping you from going to Paris?" It's like, you know what you do? If you feel fulfilled by going to Paris and chasing your dreams, you can do it right now. Go and live to Paris. I mean, you might have to find a roommate and you might have to work a job or two that you don't like. But if that level of fulfillment of going and just being in the environment and living in Paris to enjoy your dreams or chase your dreams or feel fulfilled outweighs working 2 or 3 crappy jobs to be able to afford the rent in Paris, by all means do it. By all means.
It's what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve the things that you want to achieve. You can't sacrifice nothing and achieve everything. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the core issue here is if my fulfillment comes from living in Boston, it comes at a cost. This is the cost. This is the work that you have to put in. If my fulfillment comes from spending time with my family, the cost is different. It's just a different set of circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different cost to play that game. You know.
We were talking in the other show about like the baseball player who goes up and it's like, oh, like I want my name to be famous, but I don't want to be drafted to a team too. It's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, can you do it? Can you do it on your own? Can you do it by yourself? If what it means to be fulfilled is to make your name famous, it's like, by what means are you going to do it? And if you don't want to do it by the rules or play with the team, then you're gonna have to go and find another way. It might be the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important to realize that everybody is in this too. Everybody is doing this process. And it's not just, a lot of times we get stuck on this idea of, oh, I think I'm the only one banging my head against the wall to do what I want to do. But everybody is searching for fulfillment in some way or another. The thing is that we only notice it when it's extreme and when it's wrong. So it's all like you see these people who are like chasing the high of whatever. And it's all like there are, of course, people who are chasing the high of illicit substances, but there are people who are chasing the high of being in business or going faster or whatever. Or being in love. Like, people.
The feeling of being in love.
Or the idea of being in a relationship is more important to the person than being in a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's like there are so many examples of that.
Well, we talk about it. I mean, shameless plug on the one takes, but over on the studio page, we had a one take, and I was making an extreme example, but it was funny. It was like you go off and you have these bad habits where every relationship that you make, friendship relationship, you go and you start banging everybody that you that you meet, that you meet and that you know, because you want to try to feel this fulfillment, or you're seeking that high, or whatever it is, that feeling of lust that gives you so much joy. It's like you end up cooking everything else around you.
And those are extremes, and those are the things that people notice when you go to the extremes or the quote unquote wrong way of society, you know, or sometimes it's the right way to society, but it's just not right for you. But those are the things that we notice in other people, and those are the things that we judge people on.
Right.
You know, when they do the extremes, and that's really an interesting place to be when you're at that place where you want that fulfillment, and sometimes you even know it's wrong, but you still go after it.
The fulfillment. I mean, that's where most adultery happens.
Yeah,
like you have a happy relationship, but you don't feel fulfilled. So it's go off. I could just talk to so and so and who and so, or get my Facebook and find a couple exes or girls I used to talk to, and then it's like, by the time you know, you don't feel fulfilled at all, but now you just feel depressed and pain, which was better than feeling apathetic. And it's just a vicious cycle after that.
Yeah, it is a really vicious cycle, and it's funny that you say that. Like, you get depressed and all that, and it's like a better feeling. It's because now you're feeling something different.
Yeah,
you know,
or at least you're just feeling.
Yeah, you're feeling exactly. It was like at one point where you were just numb, and now just feeling the pain of it is just because it's different pain, you feel something. Now you feel at least somewhat alive again. It is very interesting cycle, and it's like a psychological thing that you go into after that, and then psychiatrists come in, and I recommend those.
To the one listening to the show, I hope you have a lot of pens and paper ready. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back with the practical life application section of this show.
Stay tuned.
Talking about unfulfillment too, buying the Miata. You know what's the come up? Like the best come up for that? Just buy an RX-7.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is a nice car. I do like the RX-7.
The body lines are much nicer, and you get a rotary, so you can like
They're not cheap.
Instead of having like a 4-cylinder with like 90 horsepower, like you can tune a rotary to go like over 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, you can. There's a lot of room to play on that. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. No, I was thinking about it ever since like the Miata. Like I was talking about like go buy a Miata to feel fulfilled.
Yeah,
it's like no, I'd probably buy like an
RX-7
or like a Supra.
That would be beautiful. Anyways,
Mark IV Supra. Anyways.
Not my flavor of vehicle.
I get that, but like for the budget midlife crisis, that is.
Yeah, that is mint. I don't even know if that like
it's not budget
as
anymore.
Budget.
Not anymore.
No, it's now it's vintage.
People know what they're buying too.
Yeah,
you get the Supra tax.
Yeah.
Listen, you buy a cheap car, you save until you can buy the Porsche, and then that's it. And then make sure you can afford the oil changes. Got wrecked on an oil change yesterday.
Yeah,
what?
You did.
Wrecked.
Yeah.
Because this new car, okay, gotta go to like the big boys. Can't go to Jeffrey down the street to go get an oil change. And then it's what was it? Synthetic.
Yeah, you got to do full synthetic.
Wrecked.
What, like $50?
Like 70 something.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was like that was a cheaper option.
Yeah.
It
was like, you want to go full synthetic or blend? I was like, which one's cheap? He's like, blend. I was like, $75. Would have been $100 if we went full synthetic.
Yeah,
but
how long do you have to go in between oil changes?
5,000.
That's it.
Yeah.
God, my truck takes non-synthetic, and they're like, oh, it's a Toyota. 5,000 miles.
Listen, this engine is probably the size of a sheet of paper. Like the tolerance on this thing must be 0.
Yeah, you can't. There's no room for error.
No, this thing. This thing is going based off of math. Like just sheer math is running this engine. There is no mechanical play. This is how like the physics works. If it doesn't work, the whole thing's exploding.
The engine just runs on hypothesis.
Yeah, on theory alone.
All right, so now it's time for
practical life application.
Yay!
Hey. Wonderful.
We love that.
How do I stop being unfulfilled? Go.
Well, first you have to, well, first you have to start asking. Let's get sober and serious here. First you have to be sober and serious yourself, and sit yourself down and say, well, what will it take for me to feel like I have my needs met? Is it to have stable physical comfort? I mean, there's some people that don't feel fulfilled unless they can have 4 walls of a house. Other people can live in a van down by the river and feel completely fulfilled because they're seeking after a different place of fulfillment. What are my needs, and what are the easiest steps to work towards to get them? Because like that feeling of unfulfillment when you're going and chasing it, it's almost like doing drugs. In the beginning, you only need to use a little to feel that high.
Yeah.
And then eventually you have to go like all out, full blown. But it's like, okay, I'm in my place where I am now. I can't just up and cook everything I have. Or if you could, I mean, by all means, the shortest route to get to fulfillment. I can't cook everything I have, but I need to. I'll only feel fulfilled if I become the fisherman, and if I have my own boat and I can go and just spend all of my free time out on the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first things first, go buy a fishing pole.
Yeah.
Second things second, go buy a cheap tackle box.
Yeah.
Third things third, go down by the water.
Yeah.
Go fish. You want to go cheaper than that? Go in the backyard. Try to find a stick. Go take a stick. Buy some string.
Yeah.
Progress. Some sort of progress. Yeah.
Yeah. Learn how to fish in the first place. Like I think step one, but learn fishing before buying a boat. But like again,
step 1, food on hook.
Yeah.
Step 2, put in water. Step 3, pull.
Absolutely.
Step 1, watch YouTube videos on how to fish.
Absolutely, load up YouTube. No, but like it's also important to realize the don't chase short-term fulfillment, chase long-term fulfillment.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
And it's like, okay, yes, like there have been situations where it's all like, I'm gonna do this thing because I want to do this thing. It's like, okay, and then you do the thing, and it's like, okay, I'm done. And it's like, okay, you just wasted all this time and resources, and now what did you do? And it's like, I felt happy for 5 minutes. And it's like, next job.
Well, that's what it comes down to, and it comes down to a deep level of fulfillment. We can't satisfy surface and fleshly lusts and ideas, desires, just to think that we'll feel fulfilled, like this next relationship or this next sexual adventure or whatever that stuff is, to be able to to be fulfilled. It's like, no, I have to sit down and find a deep, lasting fulfillment. And what does it take for me to really feel content in my situation and circumstances and all things? Quick little shameless plug. If you go over to the studio page, we will soon have a one take about that. So stay tuned.
There you go.
Another piece of advice that I have, I don't know if everyone agrees with it, but I think this is coming from my perspective, is it's okay to move slow. It's okay to not make all the changes at once. It's okay to just be aware of it, and then, because for me, there are situations where like when things are going wrong, sometimes I make too many changes at once, and then I just make it go wrong in a new way. I just make too many adjustments, and I don't see how everything's actually going to balance. Before, and it's okay to change a little bit at a time and see how it balances, and then change a little bit more so you can get closer towards where you're going. Does it take longer? Yes, but if you're someone who's afraid of the change, this might be an easier route for you, where you can just, I want to be a clockmaker, but now I'm working as a, I don't know, computer engineer, whatever it is, and I don't feel fulfilled. It's like, instead of quitting your job and then selling the house and then doing everything you're going to do to go bake clocks, it's like, okay, slow down. Instead of making all these adjustments and then hoping it all balances out, do a little bit at a time.
That's really good.
Until you get there,
And it's important to realize that fulfillment is internal. Fulfillment is not external. The idea that it's like, okay, all of these people, if I surround myself with people, I will, or that do the things that I want to do, I will be fulfilled via them, by proxy. And it's like, you have to actively interact with the thing that you want to be fulfilled with, and it's like, it's an internal thing. It's like, so like, it's kind of weird to explain this. Helping somebody, like if I help Tyler achieve his fulfillment, unless that is my fulfillment by helping other people, I'm not going to be fulfilled through that action.
Right.
Like if I want to buy a house and I help Tyler buy a house in some way, whatever, I am not fulfilled through Tyler buying a house.
It's true. And you know what? You see this happen a lot, especially with parents. And I mean, this is the ultimate sacrifice. And I really applaud anybody who does do it. But at the same time, there has to be a better way that you can balance it. But a lot of parents, they'll go and work in the factory or work overtime at the bank or go and work at the bakery for 20, 30, 40 years so that their kids can go and actually chase their dreams.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the ultimate sacrifice, and that's great, but there has to be a middle ground too, because you'll never feel fulfilled at home. Yeah. And because you're gonna make a better life for them outside, I'm sure something else is still gonna suffer within the house because you're not fulfilled too. There has to be. It's like being on the plane and you hit turbulence and like those masks come down. They're like, oh no, put your mask on first before you can put somebody else's mask on.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And another thing is to remember that. Wait, I lost my whole train of thought.
That's
Sorry.
actually a really funny statement.
Yeah, right. Like remember, forget what?
Yeah, sorry guys. I the turbulence thing threw me off. I did have.
I'm sure
something.
that's probably going to be the cut today.
Yeah, probably. I just did it to myself. Okay. I guess we needed one.
Something to remember is that you're also only important. You're only in charge of your own happiness. Do not feel bad for other people if you're not happy. Like if Tyler's not happy, at the end of the day, it's really unfortunate, but I'm not responsible for Tyler's fulfillment and Tyler's happiness. I'm responsible for my own.
Yeah. What I was going to say is the people, we always come back to this, but the community in your life is huge. So, like, if you do want to go into something that's new and different, you need to surround yourself by at least one or two people who are in that area that you want to go to, so that you can surround yourself with them, so that you have like we talk about all the time, you need someone to sometimes grab you by the shoulders and kind of walk with you, so you can keep moving in that direction, because it's very easy to get frustrated and be like, because it's not going to be easy going in the way you want to go, especially at first. If you've been doing everything in a different direction, as soon as you start to go against the grain, you're going to feel the friction. And if you don't have the right people in place when you do this move, it's going to be very easy to give up and go back to where you were. And so we always talk about your closest 5 people. I think it's probably the biggest thing in your life is like if you do want to go into something that's new, you have to find the right people before you can, maybe not before, but in the process of doing it, make sure you're meeting people and finding people who are willing to be there for you. Yeah. Even if they're not in the place where you want to go, but just someone who truly supports you and what your dreams are, that'll be enough. But you do need, I believe it's so much more, you have a higher success rate or a chance of success if you have the right people in place.
You got something?
No, go ahead.
You said something a little bit earlier, and I just wanted to...
How I forgot. No, go ahead. About how I keep forgetting.
Huh?
Nothing.
No, I want to go back. You were talking about, like, when you're going to make a move like that towards fulfillment, like, don't go and just, like... rip it off like I mean you can go and rip it off like a band-aid. Say you wanted to go, your ultimate idea of success was to go live down on the beach in Long Beach in a van with your dog and a skateboard, and that would be ultimate fulfillment. Say you want to do that. First things first, instead of just like quitting your multi-$1,000 job. I don't know. Say you're making like $50,000 a year, and then you go and just like cook it to go live on a beach somewhere. I mean, can you do it like that? Yeah. Is it going to be a big shock when you do it? Because once you get there, like, what do you do from there kind of deal? It's like, my life was this for so long, and now it's this. That's tough. What do you want to do? Okay, well, first things first. I'm gonna go start taking vacations in Malibu if I want to go live on the beach in Malibu. I'm gonna go and rent a house for a week, see what that's like. I'm gonna go walk around. I'm gonna go meet people in the community. I'm gonna go to all the local shops. I'm gonna go check out all the little places. I understand the vibe. I understand all the little intricacies of the area. Okay, do that for a year. Or do that for 6 months. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to go and buy my van. I'm going to make sure the van has everything it needs, because if the van doesn't have running water, the water system doesn't work, or it doesn't have rechargeable like solar energy, I don't have anywhere to plug in down there, or at least like a prospect of having it. It's like, oh, well, I didn't expect that. If you're going to make a transition towards fulfillment, those slow, careful, thought out steps really do help. Because then when it's really time to jump, you'll be well prepared to jump, rather than I just like, oh, I didn't think about it, ripped it off, and now I'm sorry that I did something.
Yeah. And you affect people, too, when you're going to make this move. Like, other people are going to be affected, and other people are going to feel like you're making the wrong decision, because it's not the decision that they would have made, so it's the wrong decision in their opinion. So you're going to affect people. And I'm not saying to care about that or even to take that in. Like, all I'm saying is that this is a part of that friction that's going to try to pull you back.
It's true. And just you have this thing inside of you. There's truth that abides within you, like saying, I will not be fulfilled unless I do X and X, or I don't feel satisfied unless I go and pursue my dream like this. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to talk you out of it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's and some of them will be very convincing.
Yeah, and a lot of them will be out of a good intention, or some of them out of a selfish motive,
absolutely.
And disguised in a good intention. Be like, oh, because you're not going to be there for what I need from you.
Before we bring up, I'm sorry, but
no.
I just remember that gentleman that we met out in, I think it was in Newport. He owned a bicycle shop, and we walk inside, and we just start a quick conversation, ask if he needs any help around the place. He's like, oh, I'm actually closing up shop soon. I'm selling the place. I'm moving up to New Hampshire, and we like congratulated him. We were like, congratulations, man! You finally, like, I understand.
You did it.
Yeah, you did it. I'm like, this has been your goal. Like, good for you.
That's the dream.
And his response was, you're the first people to actually say congratulations. And I was like, and that's really the idea of like everyone he knows, people who come in there, very selfish motives, like probably thinking like, oh, where am I going to get my bike fixed now?
Yeah.
You know? And
or you're not going to be here to give me a place to hang out anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this wasn't my dream though. Like to have you come here and feel fulfilled on me wasn't on me.
Yeah. And that just blew my mind. But that happens so often on every level of dreaming.
No, we talk about the idea of you can be the hero of your story and the villain of somebody else's. As dumb as an example of that is, it's like, oh, you're now the villain of my bike story. It's now like you were my hero. You were the one who fixed my bike, and now you're leaving. Now you're leaving me high and dry. Think about me. And it's all like, this guy's fulfilling his dream. Yeah. Like, he wants to leave. He wanted to leave already for a year, and he's still there. Like,
the bike shops was a means to an end.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I made enough money to go do what I actually wanted to do. The bike shop's closed. See you later, guys.
Yeah. And it's sad to see that, this quote from Napoleon, take time to deliberate, but when the time for action comes, stop thinking and go in.
That's that's such wisdom.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, because a lot of people overthink themselves into their own coma, where they just kind of freeze up and they become like a deer in the headlights because they overthink the situation. And instead, you should just move forward. You've done all the planning. You've done all the thinking. You've done all that in the past, but now it's time to make the move. And you have to just trust the process and trust that it's going to be okay. And it's not easy.
No, it's not. But every once in a while, sometimes you got to just jump. And that's sometimes the hardest part of the whole process, because you can be all set to go, you can have all your bags packed, and you still have to jump, and jumping might be your issue.
Yeah. Some of you guys are just waiting to jump now, and maybe that was the only thing you needed to hear.
That's it. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. If you like this show, please rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. If you feel like supporting us in a more direct way, you can check out our Patreon page linked in the description of this video. One last thing. Please let your friends know about the podcast. If you like the show, we're sure they'll like it too. If you'd like to reach out to us, send us an email at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. We appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next time. Okay, now let's have a little bit more fun with that, Benji. I don't like to have fun, Eric.